Great morning, holy brothers! It is great to see you all here, shining and glowing away. We are on our pathway to peace in the Garden of Peace. If you're following along inside, we're on page 208. And today's lesson will be called Spiritual Sparks. Yes, sir. The light in the Torah. Hattie merited the light of the Torah, whose ways are ways of pleasantness, and all his paths are peaceful. Proverbs 3:17. He would have learned that the good character traits of peace, love, humility, and concession are the ways of the world, man. He would have valued his first wife. We're just referencing again the guy who divorced his first wife because she wasn't good enough for him. She was holding him back, and he shouldn't have done it, but he did it anyway. And then he remarried somebody else who was super spiritual and did everything for him. And then he came out and showed the lazy bum that he was and didn't do any learning, didn't do any of the commandments, and fell off the deep end. Anyway, had he valued his first wife, who had done so much kindness for him and brought up his children and done so many acts of chesed and love, and had he only realized it and tapped into that, it would have been a whole different story. He would have waited patiently for her. He would have showered her with love. He would have given her all the warmth in the world. He would have supported her, cared for her, and only judged her favorably. And of course, what should he have done most of all for her? If he wants her to be amazing and help change, he should have been amazing to her, and he should have prayed for her to be better. Never argue, never yell, never fight, never have confrontations. Do exactly, peacefully, lovingly, always be a giving person, not be a taking person, and pray. Pray for yourself, pray for her. Does a spark of inspiration justify a husband's animosity towards his wife? No, I gotta teach her, I gotta train her, I gotta whip her into shape, I gotta get her to understand what the Torah is all about. It's my obligation as a husband to take out that whip. Hello. The true light of Torah does not turn a person into a heartless ingrate. The first wife did not deserve degradation, that kind of terrible treatment, especially since she did not prevent him from doing anything he wanted to. He was able to learn, he was able to study, he was able to grow, he was able to daven, he was able to pray. It's just that that guy didn't see that kind of clinging, that kind of wanting, that kind of aspiration from his wife, and then he got all upset at her. Dude, if you had it real in yourself, you don't think she would have been wanting the same things for herself, for you, for your whole family? It wasn't her fault that she wasn't inspired by him. It was a facade. It was so fake. Since he only made negative comments to her and criticized her, belittling her and upsetting her, in the end, that's going to make her despise him, and it's making her despise what? Hashem, Torah, and all of Judaism. You think that's what I want to be a part of? You're acting like an animal? Why would I want to have anything to do with that? You're making such a chilul Hashem that it turns her and everybody around you off. He showed her a true Torah of darkness, of anger, severity, afflictions. You open up the Torah and all of a sudden everybody's getting killed, everybody's being harmed, all these commandments. Yes, the dark side. But there's so much love, there's so much kindness. Understand what is true, and then you'll be able to show it in a happy and positive way. And that, when she saw only that negativity from him, of course you don't want to have anything to do with that Torah, quote unquote, which is actually not Torah at all. Not only did he bring her closer to this twisted, winding, convoluted, dark, hurtful path, but he pushed her and his children further away to the point that they would never, Chas Shalom, ever be willing to look or listen to a religious person ever again. It's not just your actions, it's how your actions affect others, what kind of impact it's going to have on them and the world around you. The young man ended up with nothing. He lost his first wife, he lost his children, and succeeded in estranging them entirely from Judaism and from himself because of his cruel behavior, because of his arrogance, because of his selfishness. He also lost His second wife, who he had an amazing person, who was willing to work day and night just to support him to learn Torah. Because she saw through his false facade and couldn't stomach it any longer. Unfortunately, some people have to learn the hard way. They got to be smacked. They got to be punched. They need to be kicked down just to wake the heck up and open their eyes. Hashem personally guides every single one of us. When we go out the door and we trip and fly forward, yes, it's not because Hashem doesn't love us. He's trying to give you something easy, just to, hello, wake up, what's going on? Not to have you lose $1 million, not to have somebody get sick, chas v'shalom. Little things, taps to wake you up. But if you're not going to wake you up with taps, then they get a little harder, and they get a little more forceful, and they get crazy. And we don't want to have to go there. Hashem, thank you for the little messages to help open our eyes, to wake us up, to bring us back closer to you, because you love us and only want to help us. You tell a kid, you tell a kid not to go in the street. You said this 100 times, right? Don't go in the street. Don't go in the street. Be careful. Look both ways. It's only because you love them. You don't want them to get harmed. But all of a sudden the kid forgets and then darts into traffic. You might yank him by his arm and pull his socket out. You might smack him just to get him to stop running. And you hurt him. But it's because you care about him. And you only wish that he listened to you when you told him gently, peacefully, kindly. So you don't have to get to those extreme measures. If the young man would have been careful to keep the peace, even though it appeared that this would have been at the expense of his ambitions, he would only have gained in the end. And how much would he have gained? These gorgeous diamonds. He would have achieved his ambitions at the right time, at the right pace, and his wife would have come along for the ride. And would have been so close to Hashem. His entire family and fortune could have been saved. No.
Could have been Kiru, right there.
On the spot, man. Right then and there. No such thing as shortcuts. There are no shortcuts on the path of truth. And no place for illusions. Holy brother! The best measure of whether or not a person is on the true path is if they have what? In their home?
Money.
Yes, not so. Peace, man! There are many verses in the Torah, in the Bible, that connect peace and truth. MS, right? It says in Zechariah 8:19, love, truth, and peace. Here's one example. If that student had truly reached the level of spirituality that he thought that he had, that he really didn't, then his wife would have transformed from a fighter to a what?
Lover.
Lover and a helper, and everything that he wished for to help him achieve, to aspire, to connect, to grow, to fly, man. Then he would have had the happiest life ever with her and his kids, everyone around him. How much pain, how much sorrow could he have saved if he only went the peaceful way instead of trying to bulldoze over her, trying to throw her into the corner, trying to beat her down, only caused so much more harm, so much more conflict, so much more trouble. Many others in similar situations who did follow the long path and went through truthfulness, went through MS, went through peace, went through love, went through harmony, ultimately attained both happiness and togetherness with their wives while living a blissful, beautiful Torah lifestyle together. Here too, we have many examples. This against that. Not pointing to you particularly. Another student of mine, the Rebbe says, was also, here we go, another story. Another man was married when he started to connect.
Wait, there's no happy ending for this guy?
That was not a happy ending.
Oh, that's it.
Very sad sob story.
Oh, I thought there was more to this story.
Yeah, I wish there was another way to say there was rainbows and butterflies.
Just on to the
But
next
we
one.
have to learn from both the good and the seemingly not good, right?
So he got a divorce?
Yeah. Yep. And he had the best wife you could ever imagine.
Two, probably.
The first one he didn't realize
Yeah.
how good it was for him, but the second wife was openly amazing, gorgeous, hardworking, wants you to go learn. She gave him everything he could have ever wanted.
So what
Blew
was
it
wrong?
all away.
What was wrong?
He was wrong.
He was wrong. That was the
He
problem.
said he didn't like himself.
He wasn't where he thought he was, And when she told him, get up and go to Basikim in the morning, I'll pay, I'll work, I'll do everything. All I want you to do is go to shul, scream Yeshmi Rabbah, go learn in the morning about Shalom Bayis. He didn't even get out of bed, man. Such a lazy head. He had everything at his fingertips, gold, and he threw it all away. So, next story. Married man was already there, and then all of a sudden he woke up and said, hey, there's something to this Torah thing, you know? Here are some classes online. He got inspired by a friend. At first, he was not guided in ways of peace at all. He didn't get to this book yet. All he found was some Torah, man. So the rabbis who taught him then told him that I had to be strong with his wife. Unfortunately, you do not always have mentors in life that are right for you. They can be good for one thing and not good for everything. You can have a spiritual advisor who helps you in ways how to dress, how to look, how to talk. And sometimes people have somebody that teaches them about halacha. When somebody puts a fork in the wrong dishwasher, right? What to do about it. But, so somebody taught him about Torah, but said, listen, you got to be a man in the house. You got to be strong with your wife. When she says something that's not Torah, you got to tell her right away so it doesn't affect your family. Rebuke her. Tell her that if she doesn't start observing the Torah, or she doesn't start doing other mitzvahs,
You give her a fresh one. I'm just
you whack her. And guess what? If you keep beating her and she's not learning a lesson, you leave her. That's it. That's the Torah way.
He says in most cases, right? A lot of times in this book, he says, in most cases...
Did I say most cases?
No,
I
I'm
didn't
just
hear.
saying, that there are certain cases where this wouldn't apply, no?
Listen, I've said this many times before, but I'm not sure if we said it on the camera. There's a book called The Garden of Peace. This is a class that we do for men, right? Why? Because when you have a relationship with a slave and a master, very easy example. A slave is required to work, right? He's serving the master. This is his life. Or however many years he has to do to work off whatever he stole or whatever the case might be.
God, it's this week's parsha.
Yes, absolutely. Right on target. So he has to he can't waste any hours, can't steal food from his master. He's got a very strict schedule he has to follow. The master, on the other hand, has also obligations, commandments to how he has to treat his slave. Also, if there's one pillow in the house, can he keep it for himself, or does he have to give it to the servant?
Sure.
He has to give it to the servant. What? It's my house! I have somebody working for me! I have to give my pillow to him? Yes, you do. And you cannot overwork him. There are certain ways in which he has to work for you. So if you tell the slave how to act properly, and he does it, it's amazing. You tell the master how he has to care kindly for his servant, it's going to be amazing. And then if they both do what they need to, they're going to have the most blissful, best peaceful relationship in the world. But if the servant opens up the book of the master and says, oh, look how you have to treat me. You're an idiot. You're not being nice to me. You're not treating me with respect. You're not doing what you need to do. And then the master opens up the slave's book and says, oh, you're not working properly. You stole a grape yesterday on your time when you were hungry, whatever it might be. Then they're going to be fighting and they're going to be arguing and they're going to have the worst relationship that's going to fall to pieces and it's going to be nonstop.
Even if you look at history with this whole relationship with master and slave, like Jews had slaves, but we never had a sign of like our slaves rebelling because we were so good.
Because we treated them really the way that they should have been treated and respected and honored, just like a husband and wife. So anyways, going back.
Who was the slave? Who was the
They weren't
master?
stolen people.
So you have to be a giver and a taker. There's always a relationship.
In the husband-wife
Yes.
relationship, who's the slave?
There's no slave and master. In the husband and wife relationship, it's a giver and a
Or
taker.
this is only for men, so we're not going to talk about this now.
Chas v'shalom, a woman should never be good as a slave. If anything, the man is probably
Well, I have
the
a difference
slave.
here after explaining.
If anything, the man is probably the slave to the woman because of how much you have to give to her.
Right, that's what we say on this year. If anyone's watching, you should just know.
100%. It is not any other way. So, the man has to know his role and the woman has to know her role. This book is here because we have to know how
But
to
you're
be-
not the one that to tell her this role, right? You don't tell her this.
There's a
role.
slave supposed to yell at his master to tell his master what to
You
do?
could buy her the
No,
book.
absolutely
Just
not.
buy her the
Do not buy her anything but diamonds
No, the other
and
book.
necklaces
The
and
garden or
gold.
whatever for women.
I'll tell you why not right now. So we have to know how to act as men. We have to know our roles. If you don't understand what it is to be a giver if you don't understand how you have to give all your time, all your love for her to shine as that moon, because without that sun, the moon has no light of its own. You need to illuminate her with goodness, with happiness, with peacefulness.
With love.
If a man like this guy, who didn't have a right rabbi to guide him correctly, does not know how to act properly, and he missed the boat completely, and we are able to talk to the woman, but the man won't listen, the man has obligation, he has the duty to do so, but if we can't get through to him, if he closes his ears, not willing to listen, then as a back way around, maybe we can talk to the wife, and maybe we can somehow help her to shine from herself, just to wake him up to maybe eventually come back to Torah. It's not her role. It's not her duty. It's not her obligation. But if we're trying as a last resort to save the marriage, that's when we have a woman's book. But a woman should never need a book of her own, because the husband should be able to do for her to shine.
So you're saying that, what do you mean Rabbi Arush wrote the book for women
As
to
a
read?
backup
It's a
for a
backup?
guy who doesn't understand what it means to be a man, and he acts like a little pansy and a little girl who only wants from the other one, who asks for sex all the time, who asks for money all the time, who asks her to work because he can be a lazy bum. If a man is not acting the way a man should, then we need a backup, an emergency book that is only used when it's needed, and it's not the first line of defense, and it's not the first way of Torah. Let me just get through the story, if we can run through. Actually, we're going to have to stop here, because we're coming to that ending point already of 60 minutes. Thank you very much. Well, God willing, we'll continue this tomorrow in our next story.
Morning,
Stay
holy
tuned.
brother.
Thank you very much for joining us. Have an awesome day, Shisley. Amazing rest of your day.
Shalom, tomorrow is